Hello, and welcome back to my channel True Crime Chronicles. Here we go over true crime cases that have been solved, unsolved, or still under investigation. If you are new to my channel, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the notifications bell and click on all notifications. That way you are sent a notification each time I upload a new video. Warning: this video discusses details surrounding the disappearance and homicide of a missing child. Some viewers may find disturbing or distressing. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Now let's dive into the disturbing details. Today's true crime: the Dylan Redwine case. A father's secret, a son's tragedy. What happens when a child discovers a parent's darkest secret? For 13-year-old Dylan Redwine, the answer was a nightmare that ended in tragedy. This is a story of a fractured family, a hidden double life, and a confrontation that prosecutors say ended in a brutal, rage-fueled murder. This is the story of Dylan and Mark Redwine. Our timeline begins on November 18, 2012, at the Durango-La Plata County Airport in Colorado. 13-year-old Dylan Redwine steps off a plane. He's there for a court-ordered Thanksgiving visit with his father, Mark. But Dylan did not want to be there. His parents, Mark and Elaine Hall, were in the midst of a vicious divorce and custody battle. But the tension went deeper than that. Much deeper. The year before, Dylan and his older brother, Corey, had made a shocking discovery on their father's laptop during a road trip. The photos they found were grotesque. Images of Mark Redwine dressed in women's lingerie and a wig. In what would become the most pivotal detail of this case: photos of him eating what appeared to be feces from a diaper. The boys were horrified. Dylan's relationship with his father never recovered. In fact, in the days leading up to this fateful visit, Dylan had asked his brother to send him those photos. He was planning to confront his father. That night, at his father's remote home in the Vallecito area, Dylan texted a friend. He made plans to meet up at 6:30 the next morning. His last text was sent at 9:37 p.m. The next morning, his friend texted him and got no reply. Mark Redwine's story was simple. He said he left the house to run errands and came back to find Dylan gone. Dylan's mother, Elaine, immediately reported him missing. A massive search began, with crews scouring the rugged, mountainous terrain around Mark's home. But almost immediately, things felt off. Prosecutors would later point to a chilling detail from that first night of the search. While volunteers and rescue teams were out in the woods with flashlights, desperately calling Dylan's name, all the lights in Mark Redwine's house went out. At 11 p.m., the search for Dylan stretched on for months. Then, in June of 2013, a tragic discovery. Dylan's partial remains were found on Middle Mountain Road, about 8 miles from his father's house. But his skull was missing. It wouldn't be found until November of 2015, over 2 years later, by hikers on the same mountain, nearly 2 miles away from where his body was first found. The investigation now had a direction. Cadaver dogs alerted to the scent of human remains in Mark Redwine's living room, on the clothes he wore that night, and in the bed of his pickup truck. Forensic experts found traces of Dylan's blood in the living room. The theory was coming together. In July 2017, a grand jury indicted Mark Redwine for second-degree murder and child abuse resulting in death. At trial, the prosecution's motive was clear and shocking. They argued that Dylan had confronted his father about those compromising photos, triggering a violent rage. Prosecutor Fred Johnson stated, "A damaged relationship, exposed with compromising photographs, Photographs in the hands of a 13-year-old who is disgusted by it, which triggered a violent rage in the defendant. The defense, led by John Moran, fought back. They argued the photos were a red herring, that Dylan had mentioned them before without incident. They claimed the blood evidence was minuscule and dismissed the cadaver dog hits as junk science. Their theory? Dylan ran away and was killed by a wild animal, like a bear or a mountain lion. But the forensic evidence was damning. Dylan's skull showed injuries consistent with blunt force trauma and sharp force injuries from a knife. Experts testified that no animal in that area could have scattered his remains that far apart. After a trial delayed by the pandemic, the verdict finally came in. Mark Redwine was found guilty on all charges. In October 2021, he was sentenced to 48 years in prison. At sentencing, the judge called out Redwine's utter lack of remorse. Mark Redwine continued to maintain his innocence, calling it fake justice. But for Dylan's family, it was the end of a painful 9-year fight for accountability. A fight for a boy who just wanted to confront his dad and paid the ultimate price for it. What do you think? Did the prosecution prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt? Or did the defense raise enough doubt with their animal attack theory? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you have any information about a child in danger, please call the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline at 1-800-4A-CHILD. All calls are confidential. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to True Crime Chronicles, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story. Thanks for watching. Join us next time. Stay vigilant, stay compassionate, and keep seeking truth.